All right, good evening. We're going to call our regular meeting of May 2nd to order. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Publics Meeting Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given in the new scheduled meetings of the Spotswood Borough Council on December 28, 2015. The new schedule was transmitted to the Home News Tribune and Sentinel. It was filed with the Clerk of the Borough of Spotswood and posted in a municipal building located at 77 Summerhill Road, Spotswood, New Jersey. We had some sad news over the weekend that we heard that Bill Gillian had passed away. That was his seat over here in the front row. He was here many, many years. He was a resident for Spotswood for 75 years, a life member of the fire department and first aid squad. And if you can keep him in your thoughts and prayers during our moment of silence and his family, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Councilman Seeley?
Here.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Here.
Councilman Ritchie?
Here.
Councilman Service?
Here.
Council President Stolen?
Here.
Mayor Policino. We have minutes for the April 18th public hearing for the carnival.
Make a motion to move the minutes?
Second?
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Abstain.
Councilman Service?
Yes.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
We have another set of minutes for April 18th, the public hearing on the 2016 budget.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Abstain.
Councilman Service?
Yes.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
And then we have the April 18th regular meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Abstain.
Councilman Service?
Yes.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
We have resolutions on the consent agenda for May 2nd, 2016. Copies of the resolutions under the consent agenda are available on the table. Council President and council members, I'll take a motion to accept the resolutions on the consent agenda, resolutions 2016-71 through 2016-80.
Make a motion to accept the resolutions on the consent agenda from 2016-71 to 2016-80.
Second.
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Service?
Yes.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
We have an application for the Spotswood Fire Department. Matthew Vincent Mooney would like to be a member.
Move it.
Second? With thanks?
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Service?
Yes.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
And then we have some proclamations.
We have some proclamations. We're going to start off with Municipal Clerks Week. And whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government services throughout the world, and whereas the Office of Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, whereas the Office of Municipal Clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the governing bodies, and agencies of the government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the municipal clerk serves as an information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas municipal clerks continue to strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Therefore, Mayor Nicholas Policino, of the Borough of Spotswood, does recognize the week of May 1st through May 7th as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extends appreciation to our municipal clerk, Patricia DiStefano, and all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and the exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Pat, it's been...
Absolutely.
It's been a year that's tested many of your abilities. We thank you for all that you've done, and we're happy to have you on the dais and helping us in the background get the meetings going and prepare everything, and with your
Thank you.
assistant Kim as well.
Yep,
Thank
Kim's
you
doing a
both.
great job, too. I just was at my conference. It's always chock full of information and education, and have to get your CEUs, and it's always good to go to these, and you meet with other clerks and people, and it's great.
Learn the
So,
situations that they're dealing with, and you can share some of yours.
Yeah,
There
we
was
talk a lot.
no photos of
But thank you
municipal
very much.
clerks gone wild?
No wildness, there isn't time. You're downstairs with the clerks at 7:30 in the morning, and you don't come back up until 5 o'clock at night, so.
Wow,
Well-
sounds like League of Municipalities Convention,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, from us and from all the residents that you serve, thank you for all you do.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you.
Pat.
All right, next up, we have the National Day of Prayer. Ed, you were going to do that one?
Whereas civic prayers and national days of prayers have long and vulnerable history in our constitutional republic, dating back to the First Continental Congress in 1776. And whereas the Declaration of Independence, our first statement as Americans of national purpose and identity, made it the laws of nature and nature's God, the foundation of our United States of America, and asserted that people have inalienable rights that are God-given, and whereas the Supreme Court has affirmed the right of the state legislatures to open their sessions with prayer, and the Supreme Court and the U.S. Congress themselves begin each day with prayer, and whereas in 1988 legislation setting aside the first Thursday in May in each year as the National Day of Prayer has passed unanimously by both houses of Congress and signed by President Ronald Reagan. Whereas the National Day of Prayer is an opportunity for Americans of all faiths to join in united prayer to acknowledge our dependence on God, to give thanks for blessings received, to request healing for wounds endured, and to ask God to guide our leaders and bring wholeness to the United States and her citizens. And whereas it is fitting and proper to give thanks to God by observing a day of prayer in the Borough of Spotswood, when all may acknowledge our blessings and express gratitude for them, while recognizing the need for strengthening religion and moral values in our state and nation. And whereas this year marks the 65th Annual National Day of Prayer, with this year's theme, Wake Up, America, now therefore I, Nicholas Policino, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, do hereby proclaim Thursday, May 5th, 2016, to be designated as a day of prayer in the Borough of Spotswood, and encourage our citizens to observe the day in ways appropriate to its importance and significance. Dated May 2nd, 2016, signed by the mayor. They will be having a meeting at 7 a.m. at the Spotswood High School flagpole with the local clergy as well as town officials, if you care to join us for the morning of prayer.
Tomorrow morning.
No, Thursday.
Fifth Friday.
Okay.
Cinco de Mayo.
Ah,
Thank you, Ed.
You're up.
amen to that.
Marge, I think you're going to do the National Nurses
It is my
Week.
honor and pleasure to do National Nurses Week. Whereas the nearly 3.4 million registered nurses in the United States constitute our nation's largest healthcare profession, and whereas the depth and breadth of the registered nursing profession meet the different and emerging healthcare needs of the American population in a wide range of settings, and whereas the American Nurses Association, as the voice for the registered nurses of this country, is working to chart a new course for a healthy nation that relies on increasing delivery of primary and preventive health care, and whereas a renewed emphasis on primary and preventive health care will require better utilization of all of our nation's registered nursing resources, and whereas professional nursing has been demonstrated to be the indispensable component of the safety and quality of care of hospitalized patients, and whereas the demand for registered nursing services will be greater than ever because of the aging of the American population, The continuing expansion of life-sustaining technologies and the explosive growth of home health care services. And whereas more qualified registered nurses will be needed in the future to meet the increasingly complex needs of healthcare consumers in this community. And whereas the cost-effective, safe, and high-quality healthcare services provided by registered nurses will be an increasingly important component of the U.S. healthcare delivery system in the future. And whereas, along with the American Nurses Association, the Borough of Spotswood has declared the week of May 6th through 12th as National Nurses Week with the theme, Culture of Safety, It Starts With You, in celebration of the ways in which registered nurses strive to provide safe and high-quality patient care and to map out the way to improve our healthcare system. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Nicholas Policino, ask that all residents of this community join me in honoring the registered nurses who care for all of us, and be it further resolved that the residents of the Borough of Spotswood celebrate our registered nurses' accomplishments and efforts to improve our healthcare system, and show our appreciation for the nation's registered nurses, not just during this week, but at every opportunity throughout the year. Dated May 2nd, 2016. As a registered nurse for 36 years, I am proud to be a part of this profession. It is the most trusted profession, according to the American public, and I am honored to work with many wonderful people every single day at St. Peter's, where my job is. So thank you for recognizing this on behalf of all the registered nurses that I work with and across the nation.
Thank you, Marge. Ed, you going to do the Lupus Awareness Day?
Yeah. Whereas lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease in which the immune system inexplicably and randomly attacks the body's own tissues and vital organs, including the kidneys, brain, heart, lungs, blood, skin, and joints. It is a leading cause of premature cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, and stroke among young women. And whereas lupus directly affects 1.5 million people in the United States, each year thousands of people are newly diagnosed with lupus, the majority of whom are young people in the prime of their lives, and as lupus disproportionately affects women, 90% of those affected are women. Whereas lupus is one of the most difficult diseases to diagnose because its symptoms come and go, mimic those of other diseases, and there is no single test that can definitely identify the illness. Yet early diagnosis and treatment usually lessen the progression and severity of the disease and are vital to preserving health and preventing further complications, organ damage, and death. And whereas many healthcare professionals are unaware of the symptoms of the health effects of lupus, causing people with lupus to suffer for many years before obtaining a correct diagnosis and medical treatment, demonstrating the need for increased public and professional awareness of lupus. Increasing public awareness and focusing public attention on lupus and its devastating impact on patients' lives will provide hope for a better future for those affected. And whereas the Lupus Research Institute works to raise awareness of the signs and symptoms of lupus and to promote re-education, research, social support, and quality medical care for our citizens who live with or care for someone who struggles with this disease. This month, let us recommit ourselves to supporting the research that will lead to better targeted treatments and a cure for this devastating illness that affects so many people in the prime of their lives. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Nicholas Policino, by the authority vested in me and the governing body of the Borough of Spotswood, do hereby declare May 20th, 2016 as Lupus Awareness Day. I urge all citizens to support the search for a cure and assist those individuals and families who deal with this devastating illness on a daily basis. In testimony where I have marked up my hand to fix the state seal of Spotswood, New Jersey, on the 2nd day of May in the year 2016.
Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Leo, you're going to wrap us up with the Older Americans Week?
Older American Month. Whereas the Borough of Spotswood includes a thriving community of older Americans who deserve recognition for their contributions and sacrifices to ensure a better life for future generations. And whereas the Borough of Spotswood is committed to help all individuals live longer, healthier lives in the community of their choice for as long as possible. And whereas since 1965, the Older American Act has provided services that help older adults remain healthy and independent, which will continue under the reauthorization bill as signed by President Obama in April 2016. And whereas we recognize the value of community engagement and services in helping older adults remain healthy and active while giving back to others. And whereas the Spotswood Office of Aging Senior Resource Center has acted as a catalyst for mobilizing the creativity, energy, vitality, and commitment of the older residents of Spotswood. And whereas, through the wide array of services, programs, and activities, the Senior Center empowers older citizens of Spotswood to contribute to their own health and well-being and the well-being of their fellow citizens of all ages. And whereas the Spotswood Senior Citizen Center in the Borough of Spotswood, County of Middlesex, affirms the dignity, self-worth, and independence of our older residents by facilitating their decisions and actions, tapping their experiences, skills, and knowledge, and enabling their continued contribution to the community. Now, therefore, I, Nicholas Policino, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, do hereby proclaim May to be Older Americans Month and the week of May 23rd through 27th to celebrate Middlesex County Senior Health and Fitness Week. I urge every resident to take time this month to celebrate older adult and the people who serve and support them as a powerful and vital individual who greatly contributes to the community. Dated May 2nd, 2016.
Thank you, Leo.
Very nice.
Okay, comments. Ted, anything for caucus?
Just the two things coming up for Spotswood Rec. For the kids on Saturday, May 28th, from 8 to 10 in the morning at the lake, we're going to have the fishing derby. Kids 3 to 14 are invited to come out. If any adults are going to be out there, they'll be required to have a fishing license. And then on Saturday, June 4th, from 2 to 5 at the high school, they're going to be doing the second year of this Woodstock.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Ted.
You're welcome.
Ed?
Oh, yeah. Got a couple. Our local police department, this past couple of weeks, in fact, they had a rather large narcotics arrest in which they confiscated marijuana, heroin, cocaine, crack, and prescription pills, along with 3 vehicles, thousands of dollars in cash seized in forfeiture, which that kind of means is if we get to keep it. Chief tells me he'll be using the assets gained from selling the stuff, not the drugs, the merchandise, to help with the police department. We also have a senior appreciation breakfast coming up, which is May 25th.
Yep.
It's a buffet breakfast, serve compliments of the Spotswood Police, Fire, and EMS departments. And thank you to our senior citizens for all their contributions to the community. If you want to go, they're looking for an RSVP by May 18th. And the doors open for that at 8:45 a.m. And it goes from 9 to 10:15. Okay, also the sergeant's test was completed this week, to which Patrolman Nelson Nichols finished first, Patrolman John Pfeiffer finished second. Mr. Nichols will be getting an advancement. Yes, he'll be moving up to sergeant.
As soon as he completes his psychological exam, yes.
Okay.
We'll hope to have a swearing-in ceremony here at the council meeting soon.
All right, and the accreditation, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder down there, because I
No,
see a
go
little
right
bit on
ahead.
yours as well. The accreditation is to start with the police moving closer to getting officers off the desk. And one last bit of news, which I found quite interesting, because I talked to the chief today. And it seems that we will have a student working in the police department for college credits, 6 college credits, and their job is going to be able to help do all of the office and paperwork that normally officers will be doing. And what I'll do is take them away from that job. They don't get paid for this job because it's an internship, but they do receive 6 college credits. And the person that is coming to us is a veteran who's coming on a GI Bill. It's sponsored by the New Jersey City University, by their professional security department. Approximately 25 hours a week for the full summer semester. So that's going to save us a little bit of money. Chief's doing a good job everywhere you turn. I have one letter in front of me to which I heard from the mayor's office that there's a few, but I've got one to read real quickly. It's from a Pamela S. Myers, 27 Ashmont Avenue, Monroe Township, New Jersey. Dear Chief Zarrow, I want to recognize the efforts of two patrolmen of your agency that exceeded my expectations. I intended to write about this matter sooner. This happened back on November 11, 2015. To my surprise, they recovered my pocketbook that was mistakenly left in a shopping cart on November 11, 2015. A sincere thank you to Patrolman Michael Genovese and Patrolman John Berlingeri?
Yes.
Okay. I hope the ShopRite, I left the ShopRite parking lot on that night, not realizing I left without my pocketbook. I contacted your agency to make a report. I was able to go to the station on November 12, 2015. I was introduced to Patrolman Michael Genovese. Patrolman Genovese took the information, suggested I go home and check the vehicle again. A short time later, I received a call from Patrolman Genovese requesting to check the vehicle himself. Patrolman Michael Genovese, Patrolman John Berlingeri, informed me that they had a possible suspect. Both Patrolman Genovese and Patrolman Berlingeri assured me that they were looking into this and that they would get back to me within the hour, and they notified me they had recovered my pocketbook. All too often we hear negative things when it comes to police officers. I don't seem to ever hear when an officer has done something good. This is one of those times, and they deserve recognition. Both Patrolman Michael Genovese and Patrolman John Berlingeri showed compassion from the start, knowing how upset I was. They wasted no time in investigating the circumstances. Most importantly, they made me feel that I mattered by assuring me from the start that they would do everything they could. I will forever be grateful to the patrolmen, and I hope they will be recognized for their kindness and outstanding service to the community. That's always good to hear.
Yes.
All good
It
things.
is.
Thanks, Ed.
And that would be my, well, with the exception of the parade. Parade's getting closer, 3.5 weeks. We're counting down.
Oh, it'll be summer, my goodness. All right, thank you, Ed. Marge?
Okay, most beautiful baby in the world, also a Mets fan, Wyatt Jackson Drozd, and I just have pictures. I want to show the world via YouTube how handsome he is. The grandma, what can I say? Senior breakfast, Ed already talked about, May 25th, Older Americans Month. They created this world, okay? As imperfect as sometimes it is, remember our older citizens have helped shape every single aspect of your life, from building Spotswood High School, Frank has helped with that, to, you know, helping with the infrastructure, the police, everything. We have all contributed and molded the world that you live in now. So I hope younger folks recognize the contributions that older Americans make every single day to this world. First aid, we have a new director. His name is Robert Kirsten, and he is joining us and doing, already making a big impact. Leo knows him from his work in the past, and so we're very happy to have that happen. I also submitted my financial disclosure form, Pat. Thank you for those reminders to have that done. I hope everybody on the council has done that already, and if not, we'll get that done right away. And besides cutest baby, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, Marge. Leo?
Have nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing this week.
I want to take a minute just to speak about Bill Gilliand. He always used to drive around town, always looking for people to help. And in his older days, once he wasn't able to walk as much, he would man his front steps. And if you were walking by, you'd sit there with Bill on the front steps of his porch. And many a day heard many stories from Bill. And I had always hoped that when he was feeling better, we could get him to the council to actually give him some type of a presentation. But unfortunately, that never happened. Some of the things he had told me about a snowy, cold day when he was driving down Manalapan Road, and he went past a mother and 3 daughters that were walking in a snowy, cold day. And he gave it some thought, turned around at the firehouse, and went back and asked them where they were going. And they were walking to church in Helmetta. He had them pile into the car, and at that moment, he met his future wife, Mary, because she was one of the girls when they were walking down the street with their mother. So he was married, he had 1 child, and then one day after his 2nd child was born, it was the day after Thanksgiving, he was drafted into the Army. He went in the service, he served at the Battle of the Bulge, and he came back from the war. I mean, Spotswood was really growing, and you had these people that came back from the war, got jobs, and they actually worked to form the Spotswood that we know today. He became a volunteer of the fire department. He was a volunteer of first aid, and he began to, those volunteers, they actually they helped build the buildings. He helped build the first aid squad building, the firehouse. He told me how he would bring home donations from Hercules that his supervisor gave them to help paint, plumbing fixtures, and they would work to get this done. He told me that he used to spread ashes from Schweitzer's on the hill on Valete Street so that people could make it up the street in the mud. And these are things he just did as a resident. He lived to be 94. He was the oldest living member of the Spotswood Fire Department, lifelong member. He was also a life member of the First Aid Squad. He told me these stories, and he also told me he had known my father-in-law working at Hercules, a man I had never met. So he actually was able to tell me stories about someone that I never met and wish I could. He was a big ambassador to the Senior Citizens Club. We all know he was like the mayor of the club, and certainly an advocate, helping anybody he could. People couldn't drive. He always wanted to pick them up and drive them. He was just a man that just always wanted to help. In his life, he had 3 sons, 10 grandsons, 25 great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-grandchildren. Bill Gillian, he was one of those special people that we speak of that lived among us. And he did so much to help his fellow residents. Bill, rest in peace.
Absolutely. He also worked with my brother-in-law and my father-in-law, and Gilly, they used to call him.
Gilly.
And he was a special man and an older American who helped shape this town and what it is today. So just terrific. Terrific man. And I think we all told him while he was alive how special he was, and I hope he still continues to feel the love from us.
Very good. Pat, do you have anything? You had the clinic this weekend?
We had the rabies clinic on Saturday, and I believe we had approximately 150 animals that came. Not all from Spotswood. Anyone from Middlesex County could come, and we had a lot of out-of-towners, but all the animals were well behaved, and the weather, it cooperated, and another year well done. Kim and her daughter worked, my daughter worked, a couple other people from the community worked, and it went very smoothly, so it was nice.
How was that count? Larger than normal or about the same?
No, it was, actually, I thought it'd be larger, and it was not.
Oh, okay.
So, because usually we have almost 200 animals. So 150 was small.
All right, thank you. Go on.
Sure, just a few reminders. I want to reiterate from the engineer's report in the caucus meeting that the Daniel Road water treatment plant is currently offline. It's getting construction upgrades. It should be back online by May 11th at the latest. A Nixle alert was sent out to all residents asking them to please limit unnecessary watering, such as filling pools and washing cars. With the plant being offline, we are taking all of our water from East Brunswick right now, and that is an additional cost. And we want to keep an eye on that cost, which is why we're asking residents to do their part. Next, I want to acknowledge Schweitzer Madui, who donated $1,000 each to Spotswood EMS and to Enterprise Hook and Ladder. They've always been a great neighbor to the community, and they've always taken care of us here at the borough, and I thank them for that. At the next meeting, we're going to have a presentation by Chief Zarrow and the Rogers Group, which is going to explain the police accreditation process. And I'd also like to welcome new employees, Bob Kirsten as EMS Director and Rob Simonelli as an EMT. And last but not least, I just want to add on to Marge's proclamation for Older Americans Month. Our Director of Office on Aging, Janine Balaz, has created a Blaze a Trail passport in honor of Older Americans Month. They have, I don't know if everybody can see it, but they have a number of activities scheduled in honor of this event all month. And if seniors take the passport and have it stamped for each event that they attend, if they attend all the events, they get a special event. They have to get it stamped by Beth Blatt, who is a program coordinator there, and they'll be rewarded for their participation. So I thank Janine for creating this. It's a great idea to get residents in to see all of the programs and the opportunities that the senior center has. That's it.
Thank you, Dawn.
And it's not just for seniors. 55 to me is not a senior. Okay? It's very young, 55. So if you're 55 and over, remember, you can go there.
And during our caucus, Bruce had mentioned that the water plant is down, but we have a week of supposed rain almost every day, so that's a
Yeah.
good thing. And then within the next week, we're hoping to have the plant back up.
Mother Nature is helping.
Yes. And Dawn, if you could, we had spoken, you had told me about the situation with the sewer pumping station. Could you talk about what happened and just so that residents know what they should be careful of doing?
We have 3 pump stations in town. Right now, they're undergoing upgrades also. They're getting what's called baskets, which is going to trap some of the items that aren't supposed to go through the sewer system, such as clothing, rags. This past week, we found a rubber glove, one of those industrial rubber gloves, that actually seized one of the motors in our Red Bank Road pump station, and it was offline for probably about 12 hours. We had a bypass with a generator and a pump, and our utility operator had to get the rubber glove unlodged from the motor to get it back online. So everybody could just be cognizant of that and not flush anything that's not supposed to. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, entertain a motion to open to the public.
Motion open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. General open public portion, any comments or questions? We just ask that you come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Cheryl Bass, 289 Main Street.
Good evening, Cheryl.
Good evening. I am wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more on Resolution 2016-74. It says that the mayor is authorized to execute a memorandum of agreement with the paramedics local. And I see that the date goes through December 31, 2018. Is this to just keep the EMTs going until we can vote on a referendum in the upcoming election? I don't quite understand what the memorandum of agreement would pertain to.
Well, I guess last year the EMTs had voted to organize into a union. And this is the
2014.
2014?
Yep.
Okay, and this is the first settlement that we've had that forms an agreement, and it increases salaries and wages. It does go beyond this year, but it does include a clause that should the department become full-time, the contract would be reopened.
Oh, okay.
So if things stayed the way they were, which I don't know if that would happen, if it stayed the way it was, there's provisions for increases to go forward for like 2 years, I think, right?
Yes.
This year and then 2 years after.
And 2 years after. So it's provision that it's flexible, that it can stay as it is for a while, and then if it is voted that it becomes a full-time squad, it would be reopened for negotiations at that point.
Okay. And then Resolution 2016-76. This is the Broadview Networks for Voice Communications Network Services. Once this contract is up, it says a 3-year contract, estimated cost of $3,210 a month. I multiplied 3 years would be 36 months, $3,210 approximate. I come up with $115,560 for the 3 years. I am wondering, after the 3 years, do we then have to renegotiate a new contract for new voice communication services for this contract? I understand that this would be the latest, the newest, the latest, the greatest with the voice communication network. But from the way it's worded, it seems as though when the contract is up, then we have to renegotiate a new contract.
I'm excited to answer this question for you.
Okay, okay.
Because the good news is that we had our services analyzed, and we were using Verizon and AT&T, two separate billers for different phone numbers. The administration and they looked at this, and this is actually going to save us over $2,000 a month. Because instead of using AT&T and Verizon, we're using one of the other providers that provides phone service, long-distance service, at a great savings. Now, this is a state contract, so we didn't have to bid this. It's good for 3 years, and after that, we would have to revert to whatever the current state contract is if we do it again.
That is terrific news.
It's terrific news.
That is terrific. And it seems as though the building that was damaged, the emergency medical building, 49 DeVoe Avenue, it seems as though it's starting now to be fixed
Hallelujah.
up.
Yes.
Is the money coming from FEMA? Where is the money coming from to
We have
to
some
fix it?
insurance
Yeah,
money
yeah.
that we have,
Right.
and we also have bonded for additional funds, so it's coming from that pool of funds.
Oh, okay. And we had the proclamations, the Older Americans, the National Nurses Week. I am wondering if the nurses, if the Older American group through the senior citizen group, has anybody said, we didn't get a Social Security increase, but what I call the Non-Affordable Care Act, the prices went all the way up, the insurance companies, is anybody including that the seniors have something to say about the expenses that they meet up with? So,
It's above our pay grade.
Okay, that, it's just my, I was wondering if there was any feedback from the group, And we can talk about things that were not discussed in the
Is there
meeting.
of local importance?
Of local importance.
Yes.
Yes. We were talking about taxes that, for the emergency medical, that it would be an increase of taxes for the citizenry of Spotswood. I have noticed that gasoline has gone up. I was paying, like 6 weeks ago, $1.45 a gallon, and now it's up to over $2 a gallon. This is without the legislature in Trenton putting through a gasoline tax, which they say they want to put in at 25 cents a gallon. The price of and the excuse that was given was gasoline has come down in price. Well, over the course of time, it's gone back up. It's gone back up. It would be burdensome. The price of gasoline is up. If there's a gasoline tax, that they say it would start at 25 cents, which
Cheryl,
means that it would
Write
go
your
up from there.
legislator. It's
yeah.
nothing that we have control over, but yeah.
Because that would only add to the taxes here in Spotswood. And talking about taxes and all that goes on, I'll be very brief. Detroit.
No, not tonight.
Okay. Okay, and please watch the budget. Puerto Rico is going to default on their bonds, so please
We
watch the budget carefully.
We're in good shape.
Watch the budget carefully.
Thank you, Cheryl. Anyone else tonight?
I got a comment, but I don't know, I guess it's for Bruce. Dean Slacker, Alcott Avenue. I noticed today, and I can't believe I never noticed it before, Malvern Road and Main Street are a truck route, right? And Summer Hill Road to come
They're
through
county
Spotswood?
roads.
So they're all county roads?
Those are.
Because I noticed when you go by Immaculate Conception, I guess it was a utility company or us, I'm not sure who did it. They had cut some of the trees to the point where the one side of the tree is completely gone and the other side is hanging out over Manalapan Road. And the trees look like they've leaned a little bit. I just happened to be behind an 18-wheeler today and I noticed if he was about 6 inches off to the right, a little bit more, he would have took the wires and the tree limbs with no problem. He would have clipped them all.
We just had the JCP&L representative here today. He comes in and checks in with us on a regular basis to see if we have any issues.
Is it right before the meeting?
Right before the meeting, yeah.
Well, you might want to bring to his attention. It's right, because I noticed, I've never seen it before, and all of a sudden today I just happened to look up and I see this 18-wheeler going through and I was like, man, he's going to hit those trees, and he just happened to move over a little bit. And you could see that tree limb. It actually shook a little bit as he went underneath
Well,
it.
actually, Leo had complimented him. I guess the library had contacted them about a tree with
Yeah.
wires, and they were out there, what, within a day or so?
Within 2 days.
Within 2 days, they were out
I
there.
mean, the trees look like they're primarily dead. Why they didn't
I
take
know.
them all the way down, I don't know.
Well, that's not their
I
responsibility.
just read an article about that.
Yeah.
Their original program was to just trim the trees around the lines.
Yeah, well, they've trimmed
But
them.
they have a new bill, I believe, I'm pretty sure know what I'm talking about. They have a bill coming out to where they're going to take the entire tree down, if necessary, because it's creating that very same problem you just said. You take everything off of one side, it's going to
Yeah,
go the
and
other
look,
way. You know?
they completely stripped the one side of the tree and then left these heavy limbs coming out over the road.
But if you want, I'll give you the guy's phone number from Jersey Central Power. I mean, I'll call him as well, but I'm just saying.
I just wasn't sure if Bruce knew anything about, if we were responsible, or if you knew, I guess this is
It's
going to
the
be county.
utility doing that.
Okay. All right,
Utility are the
because that
ones
was
who
a little
cut it.
nerve-wracking. I had to back off. I was like, I don't need no treatment. I just finally got my car cleaned.
Thank
And
you.
how long will it be before, you're saying it's going to be a week before the Daniel Road treatment
Should be
facility
about a
is going to be
week,
up and
yes.
running again? And once we get that up and running again, are we going to go back to the odd and even water, or are we going to stay on the restrictions for a while?
No.
Odd even
Odd even.
from May 1st, well, whenever it goes back online.
Whenever it goes back online?
Until September 15th. Yeah.
And that's standard. That happens every year.
Yeah.
But the restrictions were just for all the plants closed.
Yeah, well, I just, because I just put grassy thing. Thank you for raining.
Couldn't have picked a better week, right?
And I just happened, well, I cleaned my car. I don't like using a car wash. I'm particular about how it gets washed. I don't like brushes. And then all of a sudden I go, okay, man, I wash your car once a week. And I went to wash it and I was told by my neighbor, you might want to go on Facebook and check. And I went on check and I was like, no. So now my car's dirty again. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it's good to see you back, Ted.
Thank you.
How you doing? Tom Grzybowski, 304 Brunswick Ave. 2 meetings ago, I discussed with you people about the truck problem in the town, and they told me they would get somebody from the police department to come by, which they did the very next day. Spoke to Officer DeRozier. He was checking on the people that I told him about, but we never heard anything else about it. One of the questions I addressed to you was, does anybody in this council find out, because it's supposed to be public record, were any tickets issued to these people? Now, since then, I called the police on last week on Eaton or Easton Avenue. There was a blue tractor trailer parked in the driveway. The police officer said they were coming over. I waited a while, they never showed up. I went back to work. I also found out that that particular truck is parked behind Art's Auto Body. The guy hauls cars for a living with smaller trucks, but this tractor trailer car carrier is parked over there. So my point, once again, is how did it get there? Did it come out of space, or did it go down the 4-ton weight limit street again? Now, also, the Polish American Club is now a truck parking lot. I don't know if you've all been by there. I have the plate number today that I'll give you, and I'm going to give it to the police. It's a red tandem dump truck, big dump truck. He's actually working in East Brunswick, up behind a CVS. AJ Trucking is on the side of the truck, and I have the plate number. I don't know if the Polish American Club isn't aware of it, but that is not zoned for parking trucks. And they also have to drive down Adirondack. I waited one morning to see where the guy comes out of, because it's 6 o'clock in the mornings when he leaves, and he doesn't go out onto Crescent or on Snow Hill. He went down Adirondack through town. So here, that's another one now.
What's his plate number?
What's that?
Plate number.
Plate number is XW491A. I believe it's a red Volvo. And if you go there right now, before I came to the meeting, it's parked over there.
I'll do that when I leave the meeting.
And I've been seeing it there every night of the week. And some other people that are
I'll
looking.
go over there and talk to them and ask them.
Okay, now. All right, so that's basically, I guess, what I was concerned about with that. Upon a couple days ago doing a delivery, going by my house, where they had the road blocked off, doing the interconnecting water connection, I observed a 988 Caterpillar loader. Does everybody know what that is? The tire is this big, parked on my front lawn, grinding the road. Now, if I wasn't there to see it, I would have never known anything about it. But the contractor took it upon himself to back his machine onto my property so he can make one pass and grind the roadway. So I called John Mayer, who wasn't around that particular day, and a day or so later I ran into the Borough yard and we discussed it, and he came down and I showed him the sidewalk, which is caved in front of my house. I also addressed the contractor right then and there with a police officer standing in front of my house, and I said, now you're a witness of what is on my property. I said, why wasn't anybody here directing these people? John said that's not his job. The CME should have been having somebody there directing whatever was going on there. So supposedly he's talking to somebody in the town, and they're going to decide what they're going to do. I already talked to the contractor that very day, twice on the occasion. He acts like, oh, I didn't do anything, and the sidewalk was already cracked, and I was over there. Well, the machine was definitely over the sidewalk, the curb on my property.
John brought it to my attention late last week, and I'll give you my card, you can call me, I'll come out and meet with you, and we'll file a claim with the contractor, or we'll get it fixed. That's all.
Well,
aware that
better than that. It's just kind of like with car insurance. See, I'm a car guy. I don't like my car hit. I know there's body shops can fix stuff. My thing that I want to get maybe put into town law here is whoever's working anywhere in this town, the contractor should be watched or at least made known of a whole list of stuff that they shouldn't be doing. They're not supposed to be on your property, yours, mine, his, or anybody's. But it seems like they get given leeway to do with their job, and then they just go hog wild and do whatever they want. I see it all over. They're driving loaders, machinery, on curbs, on sidewalks, on anything they want, because they're doing a job, and they act like that's part of the job. It's not part of the job. That's doing something to make your job easier.
I agree with you. They don't always tell us when they're going to arrive or what they're going to do, and contractors tend to get calloused over time, and I always say, if you're going to do a job, build it like it's in front of your mother's house, and then you'll do it the right way.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I even spoke to this contractor when he needed water. I told him, hook to my hose, take all the water you want, because he was doing some concrete work or something with the piping. So he talked to me even after the thing, but he blows it off like, oh, I didn't do anything to your property. Oh, I was backed over there. But the point is, he didn't want to turn the machine twice.
Exactly. I'd gladly come out and meet with you at your convenience. We'll look it over, and we'll do everything we can to get it fixed. I apologize. I didn't do it.
No, I know. That's why I talked to John about it, but I'm just saying.
He got in touch with me right away about it. So if you hadn't brought it up tonight, I was going to speak with you afterwards. So it's...
Okay, and did you said you were going to take a look at when they're done now. I see they're done grading around that. Are they going to shrub that or do anything else to cover some of that up? Because now it looks like a black foundation sticking out of the ground.
We talked about it. I wanted to see when the topsoil went in and the grass started to grow. You know, because they had to put about 5 inches of topsoil in, then you get a couple inches of grass. We may not see much of it. Once that's established, if we need to do something more, I can talk to the governing body about it, all right?
Okay. And then one other thing with the trucks, I know we discussed this also, that you guys were saying, because you stopped the work over there. I saw Officer DeRozier, and that's who spoke to me about this. He stopped where the Asbury Fuel building is. He had a driver with a roll-off coming off the truck there the other day, and he was talking to him, but I'm curious, what actually transpired? Did the guy get a ticket, or what?
We don't know.
Was it from the contractor
We don't know
working?
that.
He was right in the lot, and he was pulled in the lot out of the car talking to this guy. So I'm curious, did he stop him and actually witness him coming down the road? Because I see every morning, if you go by there, I mean, I didn't see the trucks every time going out of there, but you go by an hour later, the one truck, the one roll-off is out of there. You know it went out on the road and it came out of there.
Yeah, I'm not involved with that. I mean, maybe the police could better answer that. You're talking about a summons or whether they issued a summons?
Yeah, I'm just curious. And then you guys were saying about now, what's with the town's feeling or whatever with that building? Because that building was closed down, it was Dale's Plumbing before all this. And as far as my understanding is for zoning, if that place has been shut down, even though it was a fuel business years ago, that doesn't just grandfather in because that was a completely different owner, correct?
The zoning officer has been in touch with the new owner of the property and has apprised him of what he can and can't do. And anything he wants to do that's not within the zoning, he has to come before the board with an application.
So as it stands now, is that going to be run as a dumpster and dump truck operation? Do you know, or?
I don't, I've talked to Mr. Mashansky about it, but Mr. Mashansky would be the right person to answer your questions because he's the one who spoke with the gentleman as well as has the right to either issue a summons or bring them into the board.
Okay,
All righty?
thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
Tom, thank you. Anyone else tonight before we close?
Frank, a minute now.
Good evening, Frank.
Good evening. Frank Hadation, 41 Kane Avenue, in Spotswood. We spoke about the nurses and we spoke about the older Americans. There's one group we forgot, that's the veterans, okay? I want to make a pitch. Now, when we pay our taxes, I think there's an exemption in there for, is it $250?
Yes, it's $250 for veteran status.
Okay, it's been there a long time. I don't remember changing. Who makes that? Is that a budget item?
No, I believe that's set by statute.
That's step by step.
That's not, yeah.
When you say statute, what, is that federal, state,
No,
county?
state, I believe.
The state does that? So we have nothing to do with that, we can't,
No.
we
I
can't,
liked where you were going.
yeah.
Yeah.
They hit a dead end. When it gets to the government, everything stops.
And we
Okay.
do veterans proclamations. We just didn't do one tonight.
Yeah. But the proclamation is not to increase the exemption, though, is it?
No,
Yeah.
it's recognizing
That's what I'm
their
trying to do,
service.
reduce taxes.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe
We don't do too many of those.
I believe disabled veterans are completely tax exempt.
Yes.
100% disabled.
Right.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, me either.
Veteran, not
You don't
disabled.
want to be there.
I know. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Nothing else?
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Thank you all for coming out.